Hi, this is my recorded speech for the reading investigation assignment. I have here watching me give my speech Deborah Hebert, who is an assistant principal, and I have Chloe Howard, who is a high school math teacher. And right over here is Brandon Hebert. He will also be watching the speech, and he worked with the Boy Scouts of America for some time and interacted with youth on a regular basis. So I will begin my speech. My speech is titled Supporting Transgender Youth in Middle School. As educators, we want our students to feel safe when they come to school, but often that is not the case. This speech will focus on the safety and well-being of transgender students, specifically transgender students in middle school, and how educators can help facilitate a safe and compassionate learning environment that promotes acceptance and understanding. I have chosen to focus on transgender students because according to the 2015 National School Climate Survey, 75% of transgender youth reported feeling unsafe at school because of their gender expression, compared to 32% of cisgender males and 23% of cisgender females. The survey also reported that transgender youth felt unsafe in school bathrooms, locker rooms, and gym class. I have chosen to focus on middle schoolers because I am enrolled in a middle school graduate program and will one day be a middle school teacher. I used various studies, surveys, and academic journals to inform my research. I will focus on three main points. First, I will begin by defining the term transgender and give examples of how a transgender adolescent may choose to present at school. Next, I will discuss the various obstacles and hardships transgender students may encounter at school and the negative repercussions it can have on their learning and mental health, and why these issues deserve the attention of teachers, principals, superintendents, and policymakers. Lastly, I will discuss what educators and school staff can do to support transgender students in their classroom. So, what does it mean to identify as transgender? According to Transgender Equality, a handbook for activists and policymakers, transgender refers to an inherent human orientation of individuals who are born as one sex but identify and express themselves as a gender different from their sex assigned at birth. The 2018 Human Rights Campaign states that transgender individuals can identify as or internally feel male, female, a blend of both, or neither. A transgender student may ask to be called a different name than what was assigned at birth, and for the use of pronouns aligned with their gender identity. They may also request to use the restroom or locker room that matches their gender identity, which is a highly debated issue that transitions us into our second topic, discrimination and the need for involvement from teachers, principals, superintendents, and policymakers. Title IX is a federal law banning sex discrimination in schools and should be interpreted to allow students to use the bathroom facilities that correspond with their gender identity. However, it is not that simple. For instance, on October 17, 2019, a Georgia school district retracted its progressive transgender bathroom policy after staff members reported harassment, vandalism, and death threats. Transgender students will now go back to using single-stall private bathrooms that were once reserved only for faculty members. To further complicate the issue, I will bring up a point made by legal researcher and lawyer Patrick D. Murphy, author of Schools in the Middle, Resolving Schools' Conflicting Duties to Transgender Students and Their Parents. Murphy states that current policies assume that transgender students and their parents will approach schools with the same goal, even though schools know that that is not always the case. This suggests that current policies are incomplete, and teachers and school administrators are left to decide if they will allow a transgender student to be treated as their preferred gender, even if it is against the wishes of the parent. Policies concerning transgender students may be present, but administrators are seldom informed of their existence, leading to inadequately trained staff. This is a huge disservice to not only transgender students, but also teachers and other school staff. The available evidence concerning transgender youth shows an alarmingly high prevalence of mental health disorders, substance abuse, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts. A study conducted by the Journal of Youth and Adolescence found that youth who experience discriminatory bullying and victimization have higher rates of depression, higher rates of absenteeism and truancy, lower grade point averages, and were less likely to pursue post-secondary education. The study also found that LGBTQ students in middle school face more hostile school environments, experience more victimization, and have less access to resources and support than peers in high school. This information is proof that transgender students deserve complete and thoroughly researched policies in addition to training for school staff and resources to help them feel safe and succeed in school. So, what can schools do? First off, if you see something, say something, and encourage others to do the same. Transgender students need to know that they are supported by adults at their school. So when bullying or harassment is witnessed or brought to the attention of a school official, it needs to be dealt with immediately. Encouraging students to engage in role play around bullying events can promote empathy and understanding of the social and emotional repercussions of harassment and victimization. Schools can offer resources that help teachers interpret policy and outline appropriate practices for supporting and advocating for transgender students. In addition to mandatory professional development for teachers covering specific issues faced by transgender students. School officials can educate transgender students on gay-straight alliance clubs, which are student-led or community-based organizations and can be found in middle schools, high schools, and colleges. Helping transgender students find a community can combat isolation. Let us conclude with a recap of what we have learned. We have learned what it means to be transgender, or at least we have begun the journey to understanding. We have learned that transgender students are more likely to suffer from bullying, mental illnesses, and struggle academically, and that many schools have never been properly trained to handle transgender issues. Finally, we've become more educated on ways educators can be advocates for transgender students and help facilitate a supportive classroom culture. As we all know, the adolescent years can be a trying period fraught with confusion and uncertainty as preteens and teens begin changing mentally and physically. The search for an identity and the acceptance of peers becomes more important than ever before. Take a moment and reflect on your experience in middle school. What were some challenges you faced? Were you uncomfortable with your body? Did you struggle with the increased workload? Perhaps you were bullied or felt isolated from your peers. Now imagine facing these challenges with the added stress of hiding your true identity or trying to openly live as your authentic self and finding yourself shunned or threatened by your peers and maybe even your family. I hope this speech will lead you to examine your school's policy regarding transgender students and also re-examine your own attitude and actions in and out of the classroom. Thank you.